Aloha and welcome back to the Siren Circle. I'm Alicia Marie, and I am so glad that you are here for episode 6. We have been talking about some really big, expansive topics lately: the Wheel of the Year, Neptune and Aries, these long term cycles and generational transits, and all of those things are super important. They shape our lives in really deep and powerful ways. But today we are coming back to something a little bit simpler, something that's more accessible, something that you can work with right now, tonight even, just by stepping outside and looking up into the sky. We are talking about the moon. The moon is one of the most powerful and accessible tools that you have for magic, manifestation, and spiritual practice. You don't need special tools. You don't need to be initiated into anything. You don't need to know astrology inside and out. You just need to pay attention to the moon and work with its cycles. The moon is already affecting you, whether you're paying attention or not. The moon pulls the tides, it affects the water in the ocean, and guess what? Your body is mostly water. The moon influences your emotions, your energy, your intuition, your sleep, and your own personal cycles. You've probably noticed this. Maybe you feel more emotional around the full moon. Maybe you feel more introspective around the new moon. Maybe your energy shifts throughout the month in ways that you can't really explain. That is the moon. And when you start working with it consciously, when you align yourself with the lunar cycles instead of fighting against them, everything starts to shift. And actually, the timing of this episode is perfect because we have a full moon coming up, the pink moon, which is the first full moon of the astrological year and the spring season. So if you've never worked with the moon before, this is a beautiful time to start. You can take what we talk about today and put it into practice right away. But this episode isn't just about this upcoming full moon. What we're talking about today is more permanent. These practices, these rituals, the understanding of the lunar cycle, you can use it anytime with any moon. This is knowledge that you can come back to again and again throughout the year. So today we're going to talk about why the moon matters in magic and spirituality. We are going to walk through the 8 moon phases and what each one represents. We're going to deep dive into the new moon and the full moon, the 2 most powerful moon phases for manifestation as well as releasing. We're going to talk about how to create your own personal moon practices that actually work for your life. And we're going to get really practical: moon water, moon bathing, charging your crystals, releasing rituals, manifestation practices, all of it. By the end of this episode, you're going to have everything that you need to start working with the moon in a way that feels authentic and sustainable for you. But before we dive in, I want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by the Magic Siren. If you're looking for personalized guidance, whether it's a tarot reading, a birth chart reading, or any other spiritual service, you can find me at themagicsiren.com. And as always, the listeners of the Siren Circle can enjoy 10% off any service using the code SIRENSCIRCLE at checkout. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the basics. Why does the moon matter? Why has every culture, every spiritual tradition, every ancient civilization looked up at the moon and seen magic? Well, the moon shows up everywhere. In Greek mythology, you have Selene and Artemis. In Roman tradition, you have Diana and Luna. In Hindu tradition, you have Chandra. In ancient Egypt, there's Thoth and Khonsu. In Celtic traditions, there are countless moon goddesses tied to all of the cycles of the earth. Indigenous cultures around the world have tracked the moon for thousands of years, using it to know when to plant, when to harvest, when to hunt, and when to gather. The moon was the original calendar. In witchcraft and in pagan traditions, the moon is central. Sabbats are rituals held on the full moon. There's the triple goddess, the maiden, the mother, and the crone. It's all reflected in the waxing, full, and waning moon. And even in modern, non spiritual context, we still name the moons. We have the harvest moon, the wolf moon, the pink moon. We still feel the pull of the full moon, even if we don't always know why. The moon has been a source of mystery and magic and meaning for as long as humans have been looking up at the sky, and there is a reason for that. The moon is often associated with feminine energy, not only because women can work with the moon, anyone can, but because the moon represents the qualities we often think of as feminine. This is intuition, emotion, cycles, nurturing, and the subconscious. The sun is constant. It rises, it shines, and it sets. It's the same energy every day. But the moon is a little bit different. The moon changes, it waxes and it wanes, it grows full and then it disappears. It's always in motion. And that's more reflective of how life actually is. Life isn't constant, life is always in motion. You have times of growth and then times of release. You have times of fullness and times of emptiness, times of action and times of rest. The moon reminds us that change is natural, that nothing stays the same, and that there are seasons to everything. The moon is also deeply connected to intuition. The sun illuminates the external world. It's all what you can see, what's obvious, and what's rational. But the moon illuminates the internal world, your emotions, your dreams, your subconscious, your intuition. When you work with the moon, you are working with the parts of yourself that aren't always visible, the parts that don't make logical sense but are true anyway, the parts that know things without knowing how they know. The moon affects the tides, and that's not mystical, that's just physics. The gravitational pull of the moon moves the ocean, and your body is about 60% water. Some parts of your body, like your brain and your heart, are over 70% water. So if the moon can move the ocean, why wouldn't it affect you? There is a reason hospitals and emergency rooms often report more activity during the full moon. There is a reason the word lunatic comes from lunar. People have long observed that the full moon affects behavior, emotions, and even our mental states. Women's menstrual cycles often sync with the lunar cycle about 29 days. That's not a coincidence. Our bodies are connected to the rhythms of the moon, whether we're conscious about it or not. And energetically, the moon affects your emotional body, your intuitive body, and your subconscious mind. The full moon tends to amplify everything. Emotions feel bigger, energy feels more intense, and things that were hidden start to come to the surface. That's why the full moon can feel chaotic or overwhelming, especially if you're not prepared for it. Now, the new moon, on the other hand, is quiet. It's the void. It feels like that pause when your energy naturally turns inward, when you start to feel more reflective, more introspective, and maybe even more tired. These aren't just metaphors, they are real, felt experiences. And when you start paying attention to how you feel during different moon phases, you will start to see the patterns. Water is the element of emotion, and the moon rules water. So the moon is deeply connected to your emotional world. The full moon pulls the emotional tides up. Things that you've been holding under the surface might start to come up. Feelings that you've been avoiding can no longer be ignored. The full moon illuminates what's been hidden, and that includes your emotions. The new moon is the low tide. It's when things start to recede. It's when you have space to go deeper, to explore what's underneath, to plant new seeds in the fertile soil of your subconscious. The moon is also connected to your dreams, your subconscious mind, the parts of you that operate beneath the conscious awareness. When you work with the moon, you are working with those deeper layers. You are accessing wisdom that doesn't come from your logical mind, but more from somewhere older, deeper, and more primal. Here's why working with the moon is so powerful for manifestation and magic. The moon gives you a natural framework for when to do what. You don't have to figure it out on your own when to set intentions or when to release or let go. The moon will show you. The moon phases are a built in cycle of creation and release over and over and over again. The new moon, you plant the seed, set the intention, begin. The waxing moon is when it starts to grow. This is when we're taking action, we're building and growing. The full moon is when we celebrate, we release, we let it come into fullness. The waning moon is when it starts to shrink. It's when we let go, we rest and reflect. And then the cycle begins all over again. When you align your manifestation work with the lunar cycle, you are working with the natural rhythm instead of against it. And that makes everything easier. You are not forcing, you are now flowing. One of the things that I love most about moon magic is that it is accessible to everyone. You don't need expensive tools. You don't need to be part of a specific tradition. You don't need to be initiated or trained or have it all figured out. You just need to look up. The moon is there every night, whether you're rich or poor, whether you live in the city or the countryside, whether you're new to spirituality or you've been practicing for decades. The moon is always there for you. You don't even need to go outside, though I mean, it could help. You could work with the moon from your window. You can check the moon phase on an app on your phone. You can set intentions from your bed. Moon magic is available to everyone, and that is beautiful. So that's why moon matters. It is ancient, it is powerful, it is connected to your emotions and your intuition. It gives you framework for manifestation and release, and it is accessible to everyone. Now let's talk about the actual moon phases. I want to break down the lunar cycle so that you know what each phase means and how to work with it. So the moon goes through 8 distinct phases over the course of about 29 and a half days. And each phase has its own energy, its own purpose, its own invitations. You don't have to work with all 8 phases, and a lot of people don't. Most people work with the new moon and the full moon, and that is totally valid. But understanding the full cycle can also help you see the bigger picture and work with the moon in a more nuanced way. So let's go through them one by one. Like I mentioned, the lunar cycle is about 29 and a half days from new moon to new moon. That is one complete journey from darkness to fullness and back to darkness again. The cycle is divided into 2 halves, the waxing phase and the waning phase. Waxing means growing, expanding, and building. This is from the new moon to the full moon. The moon is getting bigger in the sky, the light is increasing, and the energy is moving outward. Waning means decreasing, releasing, and letting go. This is from the full moon back to the new moon. The moon is getting smaller in the sky, the light is fading, and the energy is moving inward. Within those 2 halves, there are 8 phases. So let's break them down. First, we start with the new moon. This is new beginnings, planting seeds, and setting intentions. The new moon is when the moon is completely dark. You cannot see it in the sky. The sun and the moon are in the same place in the sky, so the moon's illuminated side is facing away from us. This is the void. It's the blank slate, the moment of pure potential before anything has taken form. The new moon is about beginnings. It is about planting seeds, both literally and metaphorically. It's about setting intentions for what you want to grow over the next lunar cycle. The energy of the new moon is internal, quiet, and reflective. It's not about taking any big actions yet. It's about going inward, getting clear on what you want, and planting the seeds in fertile darkness. This is the time to journal, to meditate, to set your intentions, and to dream about what you want to create. Then we move into the second phase, which is the waxing crescent. This is where we're taking action and building momentum. So, a few days after the new moon, you start to see a thin sliver of light in the sky. That is the waxing crescent. The seed has been planted, and now it's starting to sprout. This is when you take the first actions towards your intentions. You start building momentum and you start taking the first steps. The energy is still gentle, it's still new, but there's some movement now. There's a sense of, okay, let's do this. This is a good time to make a plan, to take small actions, and to start putting energy behind the intentions that you set during the new moon. Then we go into the third phase, which is the first quarter. This is where we start to overcome obstacles and start making some decisions. So, about a week after the new moon, you reach this first quarter moon. And this is when the moon is half illuminated, it's half light and half dark. The first quarter is a turning point. This is where you often encounter resistance or obstacles. The seed is growing, but it's hitting some challenge. You have to make a decision here about how to move forward. This phase can feel a little bit tense, but it is a push. It's going to take a little effort. It's that time where you ask yourself, do I keep going or do I pivot? The energy here is about action, about overcoming, and about not giving up when things get hard. It's also about problem solving and pushing through. This is the time to address any blocks that are coming up, to make adjustments, and to recommit to your intentions. Then we go into the fourth phase, which is the waxing gibbous phase. This is where the refinement, adjustments, and patience come in. So after the first quarter, the moon will continue to grow. The waxing gibbous is when the moon is more than half full, but it's not quite full yet. This is the phase of refinement. So you're almost there. The intention is taking shape, but it's not quite ready just yet. You're still tweaking things, adjusting things, and refining things. The energy here is about patience. It's about trusting the process and really doing the work even though you can't see the full results yet. This is a great time to review, to make sure that you're still on track, and to fine tune your approach. And then we have the fifth phase, which is the full moon. This is where everything comes to accumulation. There's release, celebration, and illumination. So we are reaching the full moon. The moon is completely illuminated. It is at its brightest, its fullest, and its most powerful. The full moon is the peak. It is the accumulation of everything that you've been building since the new moon. It's when things come to fruition, when things are revealed, and when everything is illuminated. The full moon is about celebration and release. You celebrate what has come to fullness, and you release what is no longer needed. The energy of the full moon is intense, it is big, it's very emotional. Things that were once hidden come to the surface, emotions are amplified, and everything just feels like more. This is the time to do releasing rituals, to let go of what's weighing you down, to celebrate what you've manifested, to charge your crystals and your tools, and to perform magic under the brightest moon. And we're going to talk more about the full moon in the next section, but just know that this is the most powerful phase for releasing and amplifying your energy. Then we move into the sixth phase, which is the waning gibbous. This is where we have gratitude, sharing, and teaching. So after the full moon, the light starts to decrease. The waning gibbous is when the moon is still mostly full, but it's starting to shrink. This is the phase of gratitude. You've reached the peak, and now you're reflecting on what you've learned, what you've experienced, and what you've gained. This is also a time for sharing, for teaching, and for giving back. You've received something during the waxing phase, and now you have something to offer. The energy here is generosity and reflective and very grateful. It's almost like, what did I learn and how can I share it with others? This is a good time to express gratitude, to share your knowledge or your gifts, or to even mentor or support others. Then we move into the seventh phase, which is the last quarter. This energy is about letting go, releasing, and forgiveness. So, about a week after the full moon, we reach the last quarter. The moon is half illuminated again, but this time it is decreasing rather than increasing. The last quarter is about letting go, it is also about release. This is also a time for forgiveness of yourself, of others, or of situations. This is when you are actively shutting away what no longer serves you, whether it's beliefs, patterns, relationships, or habits. Anything that has been weighing you down or holding you back is being released at this time. The energy here is about making space. You are clearing out so that when the new moon comes, you have room for something to grow. And this is a powerful time for releasing rituals, cord cuttings, for forgiveness work, and for cleaning out your physical and energetic spaces. And then we move into the eighth phase, which is the waning crescent phase. This is a time for rest, reflection, and surrender. So the final days before the moon is just a thin sliver of light, and then it disappears completely. And this is the waning crescent. It is the most internal phase of the entire cycle. This is deep, deep rest, deep reflection, and this energy of surrender. The cycle is ending, the work is done, and now it is time to let go completely, to trust, to rest, and to go inward and prepare for the next new beginning. The energy here is quiet, gentle, almost dreamlike. It says, I've done all that I can do. Now I surrender. This is a time to rest, to reflect on the full cycle that you've just moved through, and to integrate what you've learned and to be still. And then the new moon comes all over again and the cycle begins anew. So, how do you actually track where the moon is in its cycle? Well, the easiest way is to just look up. Go outside at night and look at the moon. Is it dark? Is it crescent, half, full? You can tell just by looking. But if you want more precision, there are tons of apps and websites. I've used the Farmer's Almanac for years, but you can even just do a simple search on Google for what is the moon phase today. You can also check any calendar. A lot of calendars mark the new moon and the full moon. You don't have to be perfect about it. You don't have to know the exact minute that the moon shifts from one phase to another, but just having a general sense of where you are in the cycle is enough, and it's very useful. Now, you want to pay attention for a few months. Notice how you feel during different phases. Notice what comes up. Notice when you have more energy and when you need more rest. The moon will teach you its rhythms if you really pay attention. So, those are the 8 moon phases, 8 moments in the cycle, each with its own energy and purpose. Now, most people don't work with all 8, most people work with 2, the new moon and the full moon. And that's what we're going to dive into next. So, we want to go deep into these 2 most powerful and most commonly worked with moon phases, the new moon and the full moon. These are the 2 poles of the lunar cycle, the darkness and the light, the beginning and the peak, the planting and the harvest. And understanding how to work with both of them is going to transform your manifestation and releasing practices. So let's start with the new moon. The new moon is when the moon is completely dark. There is no light. The sky is black where the moon usually is, and that darkness is not empty, it is full of potential. Think of the new moon like a seed buried in the soil. You can't see it yet, it hasn't sprouted, but everything it needs to become a full plant is already there, really just waiting in the darkness. The new moon is the void. It's the blank page, the moment before creation. It is pure potential and it is yours to shape. The energy of the new moon is internal, reflective, and intentional. It's not loud, it's not flashy, it's quiet and deep. This is when you go inward. This is when you ask yourself, what do I want to create? What do I want to call in? What seeds do I want to plant? The new moon is about beginnings. It is about setting intention for the next lunar cycle over the next 29 days. So, what do you want to grow? What do you want to manifest? What new chapter are you ready to start? And here is the big key: the new moon is not about taking massive actions yet. It's just about planting the seed. It's about getting clear on your vision and setting the intention while trusting that the growth will come. So, what should you focus on during the new moon? Of course, intention setting. Get clear on what you want. Write it down, speak it out loud, visualize it, plant the seed in your consciousness. Then there's clarity and vision. This is a time to dream, to imagine, to ask yourself, what do you truly want? Not what do you think you should want. And then there's rest and reflection. The new moon is a very low energy time, so don't force yourself to be productive. Let yourself be still, be quiet, and be introspective. And finally, there's planning and preparation. Think about the steps that you'll need to make your intentions real. You're not taking those steps just yet, but you are laying the groundwork. So, here are a few new moon rituals that you can try. First is an intention setting ritual. Find a quiet space and light a candle. Write down your intentions for the next lunar cycle. Try to be as specific as possible. After you write them down, speak them out loud, and then take that piece of paper and keep it on your altar, or you can fold it up and keep it somewhere safe until the next full moon. I also love to take the folded piece of paper and plant it in one of my house plants. The next thing you could try is a vision board. Create a vision board with images and words that represent what you want to manifest. Let yourself dream big and try not to censor yourself. One thing I love to do with my vision boards is set it as the background of my phone so I'm constantly reminded of what I am calling in during this lunar cycle. Something else that you can try is journaling. Here are a few journaling prompts you could try during the next new moon. What do I want to create this month? What new chapter am I ready to begin? What seeds am I planting? And what would my ideal life look like 29 days from now? You can also try meditation and visualization. Try sitting in meditation and visualizing your intentions as if they've already become real. Feel it in your body, see it in your mind's eye, and let yourself believe that it is possible. And the last ritual you can try is a new moon bath. You want to take a ritual bath with the intention of clearing your energy and opening yourself to new beginnings. You can add herbs like basil for money, rosemary for clarity, or lavender for love and peace. Now, I'm going to share a little personal story about a very powerful new moon ritual that I did a few years back. I was at a crossroads in my life, and I knew that I wanted to step more fully into my work as a spiritual teacher and guide. But I was scared. I didn't really know if I was ready. I didn't know if people would respond positively, and I didn't know if I could actually do it. So during the new moon, I sat down with a candle and my journal and I wrote out my intention. It was, quote, I am a clear channel for spiritual wisdom, and I step into my role as a teacher with courage and trust. End quote. I didn't know how it was going to happen. I didn't have a plan, but I did plant the seed. And over the next few months, opportunities did start showing up for me. I was invited to be a guest speaker. People started asking me questions in relation to spirituality. I started getting new ideas for content, for offerings, and for different ways that I could share what I know. And that seed that I planted on that new moon grew into so much of what I'm doing now, even including this podcast. That's the true power of the new moon. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to plant the seed and trust. And that new moon was years ago. So the seeds that you plant, they grow, and sometimes they grow very quickly within that one lunar cycle. And sometimes they're seeds that will continue to grow for years to come. Now, let's talk about the full moon. The full moon is kind of the opposite energy of the new moon, almost in every way. It's bright, it's visible, and it's all at its peak. The moon is completely illuminated, and so is everything in your life. The full moon reveals, it brings things to the surface, it illuminates what's been hidden. It's the moment of accumulation, of harvest, and of release. If the new moon is the seed inside of the soil, the full moon is the flowers or the fruit in full bloom. The full moon is the peak of the lunar cycle. It is the height of energy, emotion, and power. This is when things come to fruition. Intentions that you set at the new moon may manifest or show signs of growth. Things that were brewing under the surface start to come to the light, and emotions that you've been holding onto can no longer be contained. The full moon amplifies everything. If you're feeling joy, you feel it more. If you're feeling grief, you'll feel that more. If you're holding on to something that needs to be released, the full moon is going to make it really obvious. And that's the gift of the full moon. It shows you the truth, it illuminates what you need to see, even if it's uncomfortable sometimes. The full moon has two main focuses: release and celebration. When it comes to release, what are you ready to let go of? What's weighing you down? What beliefs, patterns, relationships, or emotions are no longer serving you? The full moon is the most powerful time to release. But then there's celebration, which I don't think we talk about much when it comes to the full moon. What have you manifested? What has come to fullness? What are you grateful for? The full moon is also a time to celebrate your growth, your wins, and your journey along the way. And then there's also the charging and cleansing aspect of the full moon. The full moon's energy is so potent that it is a perfect time to charge your crystals, your tarot decks, your magical tools, and it's also a time to cleanse, whether that's your space, your energy, your tools, or your body. So here are a few full moon rituals that you can try. First is a releasing ritual. You want to write down what you're releasing on a piece of paper and try and be as specific as possible. You could say something like, I release my fear of being seen, or I release this relationship that no longer serves me, or I release the belief that I am not good enough. Then you're going to burn the paper in a fireproof bowl or cauldron. And as the smoke rises, know that you are letting go. I am sure you've seen this ritual all over social media, and I promise you, this simple ritual is so powerful. Then you can also try full moon water. Place a jar of water outside or on a windowsill under the full moon. You're going to let it charge overnight. And then you can use this water for cleansing, for rituals, for drinking, or for watering your plants. Full moon water carries the energy of release and illumination. You can also try charging your crystals and your tools. Place your crystals, your tarot cards, jewelry, or any magical tools outside or on a windowsill under the full moon. Let them soak up the lunar energy. This really cleanses and recharges them. For those of you that don't have a windowsill that would be facing a full moon light, one of my favorite little tricks is putting them on the dash of my car. Use the windows of your car as well, as long as you're in a place where you can safely do so. Then you can try a full moon meditation. You're going to sit under the light of the full moon or near a window where you can maybe see it and just be with the energy. Let the moonlight wash over you. Visualize anything that you're releasing being pulled out of your body and dissolving into the light of the moon. You can also try a gratitude ritual. Write a list of everything that you're grateful for, everything that's come to fruition, everything that's grown since the new moon. Speak it out loud under the full moon as an offering of thanks. And one of my favorite rituals is a full moon dance or just movement. I love to dance, and the full moon energy is big and it's bold and it needs to move. Put on your favorite music and dance. Let your body release whatever it's holding. Move the energy through you. Actually, let me share a full moon story with you. There was a full moon a couple of years ago when I was holding on to a lot of anger. I had been wronged by somebody that was really close to me, and I was carrying a lot of resentment. It was heavy, and I knew that it was weighing me down, but I didn't really know how to let it go. So on a full moon, I went outside. I wrote a letter to this person, not to send, but to just release. I wanted to get everything out that I was feeling, all the anger, the hurt, the frustration, all of it. And then I burned it. I watched it turn to ash. And as it did, I spoke out loud. I release you. I release this anger. And I release the hold that this has on me. And then I danced under the full moon. I danced under the full moon for hours. I put on my favorite album, which at that time it was the Black Pumas album. If you haven't listened to it, I highly recommend it. And I danced my butt off underneath that full moon's light. And I felt everything lift. Not completely, it wasn't all at once, but I felt the grip loosen. And over the next few days, I felt lighter and freer. And it was like I had put something down that I had been carrying for a long time. I actually fell asleep in my hammock underneath that full moon energy that night. And it was just so healing on so many different levels. But that's full moon magic. It gives you the energy to release what you couldn't release on your own. So, why do most people focus on just the new moon and the full moon? Well, because they are the two poles, they are the extremes. They are the most energetically potent moments within the lunar cycle. The new moon is the darkest point, it's that void, the beginning, the seed, and the full moon is the brightest point, the peak, the accumulation, and the bloom. Everything in between is also important, but those two are where the real magic is most concentrated. So if you're new to working with the moon, start here. Just work with the new moon and the full moon. Set your intentions at the new moon, release and celebrate at the full moon, and that alone will shift your life. And as you get more comfortable, you can start to explore other phases. But honestly, those two are just enough. So that's the new moon and that's the full moon. The planting and releasing, the beginning and the accumulation, the darkness and the light. Now, let's talk about how you actually create a personal moon practice that works for you and your life. So, now that we've talked about why the moon matters and what the 8 phases are and how to work with the new moon and the full moon, I want you to be able to create a moon practice that works for you. There is no one right way to work with the moon. What matters is what feels sustainable, authentic, and meaningful to you. First, I want to give you permission to keep it simple. You do not have to work with all 8 moon phases. You don't have to do elaborate rituals every couple of days, and you don't have to track every shift and every transition. Most people including me, work primarily with just the new moon and the full moon. That's it. Two phases, two moments in the month to pause and align with the lunar energy. And that is enough. That's actually more than enough. If you want to explore the other phases, that's absolutely beautiful. But if you just want to set intentions at the new moon and release at the full moon, that is completely okay. Don't let anyone tell you that it's not enough, and don't let any fear tactics from social media try and make you feel otherwise. So, here's what a simple moon practice can look like. At the new moon, you set your intentions. Journal about what you want to create, light a candle, and speak your intentions out loud. Spend 10 to 15 minutes in quiet reflection, and that's it. At the full moon, release what's no longer serving you. Write it down and burn it, or speak it out loud under the moonlight. Charge your crystals if you have them, give thanks for what's come to fruition, and spend 10 or 15 minutes in reflection. Done. Twice a month, maybe 30 minutes in total. That is a moon practice. You don't need hours, you don't need a ton of tools, and you don't need to be perfect. You just need to show up, pay attention, and work with the energy. Your moon practice has to fit into your actual life. If you're working full time, raising kids, managing a busy schedule, you're not going to have time for an hour-long ritual twice a month, and that is okay. Your moon practice can be as simple as looking at the moon and speaking your intention out loud while you're walking to your car. It can look like journaling for 5 minutes before bed on a new moon. It can look like burning a piece of paper in your kitchen sink on the full moon, or even just setting a glass of water on your windowsill to charge under the full moon while you sleep. It doesn't have to look like what you see on Instagram or TikTok. It doesn't have to be all aesthetic or elaborate. It just has to be real. Find what works for you. Maybe you love long, intentional rituals. That is wonderful. That's great. But maybe you need something quick and simple, and that is also wonderful and great. The consistency matters more than the complexity. Showing up for 5 minutes at every new and full moon will serve you more than doing an elaborate ritual once and then never doing it again. One of the most powerful practices that you can do is moon journaling. This is where you track how you feel during different moon phases over time. You can get a journal or a notebook and dedicate it to the moon. And honestly, I don't even use a paper journal anymore for this. I use the Notes app in my phone. At each new moon and full moon, or every few days if you want to track the whole cycle, write down what phase the moon is in, how you're feeling emotionally, how your energy level is, what's coming up for you, and what you're working on or releasing. After a few months, you'll start to see patterns. You might notice that you feel more emotional around the full moon, or that you always feel more creative around the waxing crescent, or that last quarter always brings up stuff that you need to release. Those patterns are your personal relationship with the moon. And once you know them, you can work with them more consciously. You can also track your menstrual cycle along with the moon cycle. Notice if they sync up. Notice how you feel when you're menstruating during a new moon versus a full moon. There's so much wisdom in tracking these rhythms. And if you want me to go deeper into that as well, I can do a whole episode just on tracking our menstruation cycles and why that's so important. Your moon practice should fit you, not the other way around. If you work nights and you can't be outside during the moon, that's okay. You can do your ritual during the day and still connect with the moon's energy. The moon is always there, even when you can't see it. If you live in a city and you can't see the moon because of light pollution, that's okay. You can check an app to know where the phase is and how to work with that energy even without seeing it. If you're not into burning things or you don't have a safe space to do it, that's also okay. You can rip the paper up instead, or bury it, or dissolve it in water. If you're religious and you're not sure if moon work fits with your beliefs, just know this. Working with the moon is not about worshiping the moon. It's about aligning with natural cycles. It's honoring the rhythms of nature. Every culture, every religion, every tradition has acknowledged the moon in some way, shape, or form. You are not betraying your beliefs by paying attention to it. Make it your own, adapt it. There are no rules. Moon magic doesn't have to exist in isolation. You can blend it with whatever spiritual practices you already have. If you work with tarot, pull cards at the new moon for guidance on your intention, and pull cards at the full moon to see what needs to be released. If you meditate, do moon meditations. Visualize the moon's light filling your body, cleansing you, and charging you. If you're into astrology, pay attention to what sign the new moon and the full moon are in. A new moon in Aries has a different flavor than the new moon in Cancer. The signs can add another layer of meaning. And if you want to know more about that, let me know and we can deep dive into astrology and the moons together. The moon fits with everything. It's universal. It's a rhythm that underlies all practices. So, that is how you create a personal moon practice. Keep it simple. Start with just the new moon and the full moon. Make it sustainable. Track your patterns, adapt it to your life, your beliefs, your schedule. Let it be a ritual that just feels authentic to you. The moon doesn't care if you do it perfectly. The moon just wants you to pay attention, to notice, to align with the natural rhythms, and to remember that you're part of the cycles too. Now, I do want to take just a quick moment to get really practical. I want to talk about some specific moon magic practices that you can start using right away. These are tools, techniques, and rituals that work with lunar energy in tangible ways. So let's start with moon water, because this is one of the most simplest and most versatile moon magic practices that you can do. Moon water is water that is charged under the light of the moon. It absorbs the moon's energy, and then you can use that water for all kinds of purposes. You're going to get a jar or a bowl. Glass is best, but any container works. Fill it with water. You can use tap water, filtered water, spring water, whatever you have. And you're going to place that jar outside under the moon. You can also place it on a windowsill where moonlight will hit it. You'll leave it there overnight, or at least for a few hours. In the morning, or whenever you bring it in, you'll have moon water. So you can make moon water during different moon phases, and each one will carry a different energy. New moon water is great for new beginnings and manifestations. Full moon water is one of the most potent. It's charged with releasing energy and amplification. You can do waxing moon water, which is good for growth and building. Waning moon water, which is good for releasing and cleansing. You can also make moon water during specific astrological moons if you want to get more specific. A full moon in Scorpio will have a different energy than a full moon in Taurus. Now, there are many ways to use moon water. You can drink it, use it in ritual baths, cleanse your space with it, water your plants, anoint yourself, or add it to spell work. I personally keep a jar of full moon water on my altar pretty much all the time. I use it for everything: cleansing my tarot deck, anointing my candles, adding to my ritual baths. It's one of the most versatile tools that you can have. I even use it during our live candles whenever I spritz our candles with the full moon water. Now, another tool that you can do or technique is moon bathing. And it is exactly what it sounds like: bathing in the light of the moon. But instead of water, you are bathing in moonlight. So, how you do this is you're going to go outside on a night when the moon is visible. Full moon is the most powerful, but you can moon bathe during any phase. Find a spot where you can see the moon. It could be your backyard, a park, a balcony, anywhere. And then you're going to stand or sit under the moonlight. You can be clothed, or if it's private and safe, you can be naked. The idea is to let the moonlight touch your skin. Close your eyes, breathe, and visualize the moonlight washing over you. You can stay under the moonlight for as long as it feels good 5 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour. There is no rule here. Moon bathing is about receiving. You're not having to do anything, you're just being. You are letting the moon's energy fill you up. The full moon is really powerful for this because the light is so bright, you can actually feel it on your skin. And of course, you can moon bathe with specific intentions. If you're moon bathing during a full moon, you might focus on releasing, visualizing anything that you're letting go, being pulled out of your body by the moonlight. If you're moon bathing during a new moon, which is a little bit harder because there's no visible light, but you can definitely still do it, you might be focusing on receiving guidance, on opening up yourself to new opportunities and possibilities. I love moon bathing because it's so simple, but it's still so powerful. You don't need anything, you just need the moon and your body and a couple of minutes of your time. Now, if you work with crystals, tarot cards, oracle decks, or any kind of magical tools, the moon is the best way to cleanse and charge them. So, you're going to take your crystals, your cards, or your tools outside under the full moon or on a windowsill if you can't go outside, and you'll leave them there overnight. Let the moonlight cleanse any energies that maybe they've absorbed and recharge them with fresh lunar energy. Crystals absorb energy from you, from the environment, from the work that they're doing. And over time, they can get energetically full and need to be cleared or cleansed out. And the full moon's light really cleanses all of that and resets them. So it's a perfect time for crystals. Tarot and oracle decks also benefit from this. If your deck is feeling really heavy or you're not getting clear answers or messages, a night under the full moon will definitely clear it out. You can also charge your jewelry, especially if it has stones in it. I often leave my favorite necklaces or rings out under the full moon because I wear a lot of crystals in my jewelry. And some crystals can fade in the sunlight, but moonlight is safe for all of them. So if you're not sure, stick with moon charging instead of sun charging, and just be sure to bring your crystals in before the sunlight really hits them. So, those are just a few of the practical moon magic tools. You have moon water, moon bathing, and charging your tools and your crystals and things under the moonlight. The moon is so accessible. It is always there. It's free, it's powerful, and it's waiting for you to work with it. With all of that being said, let's take a breath and just land here for a minute. We covered so much today. We talked about why the moon matters across cultures and thousands of years of human history. We walked through all 8 moon phases and what each one is asking of you. We went deep in on the new moon and the full moon, that void and the peak, the planting and the harvest. We talked about how to build a moon practice that actually fits your real life, not some idealized version of it. And we got practical: moon water, moon bathing, charging your tools, all of it. And I know that that's a lot. And I hope what you're taking away from this episode is not overwhelm. I hope that you are taking away possibility, magic, moon energy, because all of this is available to you right now, tonight, even. The moon is always there, it's always cycling, it's always moving from darkness to fullness and back again. It's always available to you no matter where you are, no matter what you believe, no matter how much or how little you have. You don't need to be perfect at it, and you don't need to do every ritual or track every phase or have it all figured out. You just need to be present, to pay attention, and to look up to the sky. Start simple, start where you can. So here is my challenge for you this week. Work with the next new or full moon. Just one. Set an intention or do a release. Write it down, speak it out loud, step outside and look up to the sky. That's it. That's where the practice begins. And actually, the timing could not be more perfect because we do have the pink moon right around the corner. It is the first full moon of spring. It is beautiful. It is a wonderful time to release something that's been weighing on you and to make space for what you're calling in for this next season. You have everything you need after today's episode to do exactly that. I want you to remember something else, that the moon has been watching over humans since the very beginning of time. Every ancestor that you have has looked up at that same moon. Every culture, every tradition, every grandmother who has planted her garden by the lunar calendar, they were all working with the same rhythms that you are working with now. You're not starting something new, you are remembering something ancient. And that is what this work really is. It is remembering that you are connected to the earth, to the sky, to the cycles. Remembering that there are seasons to your life, and it is okay to rest, it is okay to release, and it is okay to begin again. The moon will always be there to meet you. Now, next week, we are going somewhere very deep. We are going to do a full deep dive into shadow work, what it actually is beyond the buzzword, because I think that this word gets thrown around a lot and not enough people are talking about what it really means and what it really requires. We are going to talk about how to actually start working with your shadow, the difference between integration and spiritual bypassing, and I'm going to give you real shadow work prompts and practices that you can start using right away. It is going to be a powerful one, so make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss it. And if today's episode resonated with you, please share it with somebody who might also enjoy it. Leave a review if you feel called to. And find me on social media at The Magic Siren. I would love to see your moon rituals, your moon water, or your intentions for this pink moon. Until next time, I appreciate you, I see you, and I will meet you right back here at the Siren Circle next week. Aloha.